All right, let's dive into the PJ Pick 5. Again, no show Thursday or Friday, so we give out all my favorite plays today on the show. Subject to change, of course, right? Especially for some of these Sunday plays because it's only Wednesday, so a lot of time between now and then. But a couple of Thursday plays that I do like that we'll get into. But let's start with the Browns. This play, for me, probably not going to change. Love Cleveland plus the points. Love Cleveland on the money line against San Francisco. Again, Kyle Shanahan, 1-9 straight up against Jim Schwartz. He just struggles for whatever reason. Schwartz's defense always gives him fits. And what a terrible spot for San Francisco. Coming off of a short week, Monday Night Football, Purdy's all in his head after all those turnovers. Now you got to go up against this Browns defense. And Shador's not very good, but I don't think he's really going to have to do all that much in this game. I think they lean on that Browns defense and Judkins. I like the Browns +5. Kansas City, I'll take them -3 at the Cowboys. Similar handicap to last week against the Colts. Spread at 3.5. Pass. If it's at 3, that's a bet on the Chiefs. I think at worst we push. Just going to trust Kansas City to find a way to win this game, as pretty much all these games the rest of the way for the Chiefs must win with how jumbled that AFC wildcard picture is. I also like the Steelers +4 against the Bills. As I was talking, all that Tomlin voodoo magic. Steelers defense forces some turnovers. I'm concerned about the Bills and Josh Allen and the way that they're playing here as of late. There's just no consistency with Buffalo. Both the Steelers and the Bills coming off some tough road losses. Steelers are back at home. Pivotal game for both of these teams. I think 4 is too many. I like the Steelers to keep it close. Patriots, I'll lay the 7.5 with them against the Giants. I talked about liking them in a teaser, but I probably would lay it with New England if I had to. I really love 4 games this week. The 5th one was a little bit tricky, but I'll take the Pats if I have to. Again, the Giants, I think, are going to be a popular dog because of how impressive they've played, but that was a brutal loss against the Lions. And the last time the Giants had a brutal loss like that was against Denver. They went on the road against the Eagles and got smoked. I think we could see a similar thing against the Giants on Monday night. And then the Bengals, +7 against the Ravens. I just think it's too many points. Burrow's back, and Lamar is not healthy, and not enough people are talking about it. He's just not himself right now. And this defense recently during this 5-game win streak, they played Dylan Gabriel, J.J. McCarthy, Tua, Tyrod Taylor. They haven't played anybody. Yes, the defense is better, but even though Joe Burrow is going to have some rust and he's coming back after being on the sideline for 2 + 3 months, I still think he's going to be able to put up some points and put up some yards. So the Bengals keep this close. I like Cincinnati +7. All right, as for some player props, I like week 13 in the NFL. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm going to take his under 75.5 receiving yards against the Packers. Amon-Ra's played Green Bay 9 times in his career. He's only had more than 57 receiving yards 2 times against the Packers. Normally not a great matchup, and the Packers normally do a very good job against Amon-Ra, so I'm going to take his under receiving yards against Green Bay. Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to go under his rushing yards, 68.5 against Cleveland at -130. CMC, one of the top backs in the league, as we know. San Francisco has been force-feeding him the football. It's just really tough to run against that Browns defense, especially in Cleveland. So under 68.5 rushing yards for CMC. Josh Allen, I'm going to take his over rushing yards, 29.5 against Pittsburgh. Was running for his life in that Texans game. I think he's going to be smarter about when to use his legs. And instead of running around and trying to scramble, he's just going to take off and slide and try and keep his team ahead of the chains. Pittsburgh's got that great pass rush. They get after the quarterback as well as anybody in the NFL. Josh Allen, and this is a big game, again, for the Bills, over 29.5 rushing yards for Josh Allen against the Steelers. Bryce Young, I'll take his over passing yards, over 194.5 against the Rams. Night and day. Bryce Young, when he's at home versus when he's on the road. Now, he hasn't had too many games this season where he's thrown for over 200 yards, but because of the game script, they're a 10-point home underdog. You're going to have to score if you want to hang with the Rams or have a chance at upsetting them. I think Bryce Young over 194.5 passing yards. And then Jamar Chase against the Ravens. Jamar Chase to record 100 receiving yards is even money. Plus 100. Think about that. Jamar Chase, 100 receiving yards is even money. That just tells you all you need to know, right? When a line is that high, it's that high for a reason. No T. Higgins. They are going to be force-feeding the ball to Jamar Chase, who usually lights up the Ravens just about every time he plays them. So Chase rested, off the suspension, ready to go. No T. Higgins. He's got his guy Joe Burrow back. I'll take Chase 100 or more receiving yards at plus 100. All right, let's dive into my college football pick 5 for this week. And we'll start with the Iron Bowl. And it pains me, but my favorite bet is going to be Auburn +6 against Alabama. It's just too many points. These games are always close in Jordan-Hare, man. These rivalry games, some of them, I mean, it's so different when one team is at home and one team is on the road. The Iron Bowl, it's unbelievable when this game is at Jordan-Hare compared to when it's in Tuscaloosa. This game was in Tuscaloosa, no sweat. With Bama, when it's Jordan-Hare, though, you know it's going to be close. You think about DeBoer since he's been in Tuscaloosa, too, and how much he has struggled away from home when he goes up against unranked teams. They easily could have lost to South Carolina this year. They got pummeled by Florida State. Last year, they got pummeled by Vandy and Oklahoma. They lost to Michigan in the bowl game. So under DeBoer, they have not been great away from Tuscaloosa. And with this being Auburn's Super Bowl and everything on the line for Alabama, it's probably going to be close. So I like Auburn +6. Virginia Tech, I like them +9.5 for Virginia. We were talking about that game with Chase. But again, Virginia Tech has dominated this rivalry. Virginia's only beaten them twice in the last 20 years. And now they're laying 9.5. And all the pressure is on Virginia in this game. They win. They're in the ACC title game. It's obviously been a bad season for Virginia Tech. James Franklin's going to take over. But this is why we love rivalry week, because these schools don't like each other, the fan bases don't like each other, and you have a chance to end and spoil your rival's season. And that's what Virginia Tech has a chance to do. I think 9.5 is too many points. I like the Hokies against UVA. I also like Washington +6.5 against Oregon as well. Jed Fish and the Huskies have been awesome at home since he's been head coach. Even go back to Kellen DeBoer, they were really good at home. That's a tough place to play. Think about Oregon, some of the games they've had to play on the road this season, beat Penn State in overtime, last second field goal against Iowa. They've struggled at times on the road this season. I think this is going to be another close game. I like Washington +6.5. I'm going with Miami -7 at Pitt. I think Miami is actually going to win convincingly in this game. This feels to me, you got two ranked teams, and Pitt coming off that big win to Georgia Tech. As Chase was talking about, if SMU or Virginia loses and Pitt wins, they're in the ACC title game. But Miami's just the superior talented team. We saw what happened when Notre Dame went up against Pittsburgh. Miami's got all that talent. They're playing a little bit better on the road. Beck looked good last week against Virginia Tech. I'll take the Canes at -7. And then Georgia Tech +13.5 against Georgia. I just think this line is way too inflated. Georgia, they're going like this. Georgia Tech is going like this. But this is a spot where you trust Brent Key. He's been so good as an underdog. Haynes King has been unbelievable this year for Georgia Tech, and he was awesome in this game between these two teams last season. Again, this is a neutral site game, essentially, and it's priced at 13.5. If this game was at Georgia, the Dogs would be like a 16.5 point favorite or something like that, and I just think that is way too many points. So Georgia Tech getting a little bit disrespected. I think there's a little bit of a recency bias here because of what we saw Georgia do against Texas and what we saw Georgia Tech do against Pitt. I like the Yellow Jackets +13.5. So there we go. Our PJ pick 5 for rivalry week. Auburn, Virginia Tech, Washington, Miami, and Georgia Tech.